And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. This is the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University. I'm Dean Beckman along with co-host Donny Nadeau, the sports information director for the Cardinals. Donny, a little bit later on in the show, we have an exciting men's soccer game to talk about against St. Thomas. Went right down to the wire, into overtime, in fact, so we'll get to that later. But first, we're going to be touching on volleyball action in this first segment with head coach Mike Lester and his outside hitter Jenna Sullivan. They're going to join us on the program. And of course, Donnie, Mike is a longtime veteran here of the Cardinals Nest, but Jenna, relatively new to St. Mary's and from your hometown as well.
That's right. She's from Woodbury. Been a long time since I was in Woodbury, but I still call it my hometown. So it'll be nice to have Jenna and Mike on, and obviously they're right here. Mike, you have been a veteran of this ever since we've done this show. Yeah. You've been a guest on it, so this will be easy for you. Jenna, I'm not telling you it's going to be easy.
Well, let's get started, and Jenna, we'll start with you because you are from Woodbury, and this is your first year really playing volleyball with the team. You were injured last year, but your second year at St. Mary's. So tell us about that transition of coming to St. Mary's and now actually getting a chance to step out onto the court.
Well, as you said, last year I didn't have the opportunity to play because of my injury, but this year has been really awesome. I was able to play last spring with the team and then go to Italy, and then coming in this fall, it's been great.
So almost like a redshirt freshman experience, Mike, to a degree. Right?
Yeah, I tell you, it was really nice and actually very good timing for us to be making that international trip last spring. Jenna was pretty excited to get the opportunity to put a jersey on. It was a long time for her. It was tough for her to be on the bench as an assistant coach with us last year and not get a chance to play. So I think going to Italy and getting to throw that Cardinal jersey on and be ready to go this fall was a good thing for her.
Now, Mike, sure. I don't know if this is a fair question or not, but her absence last year, did you have plans for her as a freshman last year, and how did you have to alter things a little bit?
Absolutely. When Tessa and I were talking to Jenna about coming to play, we had some high hopes for her to come in and do some things right away as a first-year player. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we had to wait another year, but she's still a first-year player for us, so we get her for 4 years, so that'll be great.
Jenna, on the court, you're learning things now because you're getting to play. What did you take from last year in terms of a learning experience that really kind of maybe helped you as you got onto the court this year, so that maybe you're a little farther along than a normal freshman would be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, getting to know all the girls and all my teammates a lot better, and being able to come in this year with those bonds already made, and that made it a lot easier, stepping on the court and playing with them.
Mike, her injury last year, the start of a slew of injuries. You really had to adapt on the fly last year.
Yeah, we did, and you have to give our team a lot of credit, with losing Jenna before the season even started, and then, losing Amy Kuyak, who's coming off an all-conference year, the year prior. That made a big difference in our season, but you have to give our young players credit. They played really, really well last year and really provide us a nice base to build on for this year.
It's interesting. We're talking off camera. We're 2 weeks into the school year, and you're already a third of the way done with your season, having played 10 matches. Can you kind of sum up the first 10 matches and how things have gone, about how you expected?
Yeah, I think so. I think, it's every year in volleyball, your season is really dominated early with non-conference tournaments, things like that. And you want to play as many matches as you can early in the season before that conference season really starts, just to try to get a feel for what your team's going to be like, get prepared for that first conference match. We've played very well at times. We've played a little bit inconsistently at times. But really, I think we did what we needed to during those preseason tournaments to get us ready for the conference season.
Well, and Mike, we talked about having to adapt last year, and certainly you had to do that again at the start of this year. Sabrina Bushlack, a key contributor to last year's team, was seriously injured in a car accident over the summer. So just talk about that, what you were going through, what your mindset was, and how you've had to kind of rally the team around that particular incident.
Yeah, it was a really tough phone call. On July 16th when I got the call about the accident. And I didn't even really think about the volleyball season at all. We were definitely just more concerned about Bree and hoping that she could make it through that crash and hopefully get back to St. Mary's. It was very, very challenging. But I have to say I have to give a lot of credit to Jenna and the rest of the team. They've done a great job of coming together and really playing through that tragedy and really working hard to support Bree, and she's doing great. We were excited. She was at our match this past weekend at 2 of our matches, and looked great and is doing awesome. So we're really excited for the progress that she's made.
Jenna, can you talk from a team standpoint on how you guys are handling that situation?
It was definitely tough when we first found out, but I think it was a week after it happened. Some of us were down at St. Mary's at camp, and that definitely helped pull us together a little bit more. And we were able to be there for each other. Sabrina's one of those players who always comes out and works as hard as she can all the time, and she's always been like a true inspiration to everyone on the team.
Yeah, definitely a high spirit person. So Mike, it's great to hear that she's on the road to recovery, and of course the St. Mary's community, as usual, has rallied around, and there will be a 5K run in her benefit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. October 21st, the Strong is the New Beautiful 5K walk run, a benefit for Bree to help her and her family, continue the rehab process and hopefully get her back to St. Mary's as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime now, you have had other players step up, of course, and one of those players we'll talk about is Mary Nordic. She is really off to a nice start this season.
Yeah, she really is. Mary's just one of those players that has it in her to be a dominating player in our league, and she just needs to really get that fire inside her and play consistently at a high level all the time. And she's really making big strides this year and played very well for us last night in our first conference match.
Talk a little bit about that, Jenna. The first MIAC match you've had, you had 9 matches before that, but you finally got to play an MIAC conference match. As Mike and I always say, the ones that really count. Talk about playing McAllister and coming away with a 3-0 win.
It was a big win for us. First MIAC conference. It was a big win. Coach talks about how, wherever you go on the MIAC and you play on the road, it's hard to get a win, and so that one was a big one for us.
And now, we were joking off camera, you get a couple of days off because you don't play again until Wednesday. How important is it for you guys as players now, you've played 10 matches, to get a few days to maybe step away and kind of let your bodies rest a little bit?
Yeah, there are a few of us that have some nagging injuries here and there, and so it'll be nice to get some rest, work through those injuries and, come back on Wednesday really strong.
Mike, I'm sure you were impressed in that Bethany Lutheran tournament, opened with 2 losses, but came back strong, and that was a great springboard then into the first conference match on Wednesday.
Yeah, it really was, and we talk about those tournaments in a lot of different terms, but we really want to make sure that by the end of the tournament we're really playing our best volleyball, and we certainly didn't play our best match against Wisconsin Superior to start the day, to start the tournament on Friday. But even in our loss on Friday night against Wartburg, I thought we played very well. And we were definitely, getting better and playing at a higher level. And then to turn around Saturday morning with a big win over Wisconsin Oshkosh, who perennially is an NCAA tournament team, was a nice win for us. And then finishing off with Bethany Lutheran was that good springboard into our first conference match for sure.
With the team that you have, you've got a real smattering of, you've got the upperclassmen who are real good leaders, and you've got a lot of the younger people who seem to be stepping into that leadership role. Talk a little bit about how you're piecing this team together from a standpoint of who the leaders are and who's doing what.
Yeah, it's a really unique group in that we have a really good mix, both in upperclassmen and younger players, but also in who's playing. And that really bodes well for our leadership. I think, when we talk about picking captains and things like that for our team, we make sure that everybody knows everybody's got something they can bring to the table in terms of leadership, in terms of energy and enthusiasm. We've got some young players that play with a lot of enthusiasm, Jenna being one, Lex Krogstad being another, Colleen Seba another, that just play with a lot of energy on the court, and it's really fun.
So much of it seems to be organic from that leadership standpoint. And I have a lot of your volleyball players in class. Mary Nordic, another one, Carissa Hahn, who's a senior. She's getting more playing time this year and stepping up from that standpoint. But they all seem to be good people, which I think translates then into on-court activity as well.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we've really kind of prided ourselves within the volleyball program is that we do very well on the court for the most part. We have had some success recently, but even more importantly than that, we have success in the classroom. We have good people in our program that are really well thought of on campus and in the community.
Lexi Asimos is off to a great start again. Of course, she was a leader last year and just picking right up, and she's a junior now this year.
Yeah, she's probably one of the most dynamic players in our conference. and to have that at the setter position is something pretty unique. We joke with her a little bit. I think she jumps higher when she celebrates than when she goes up for a block or a kill. But that energy is contagious, and it really helps bring everybody along with her.
Mm-hmm. Mike, your program in particular, I think, just seems to, I mean, over the years, you can just go down all the list of setters that you've had, and they're all conference players, it seems like.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is. I'm going to give a lot of credit to my assistant coaches for that, to Tessa Wagnild, and before her to Corey Phelps and some of those people for making sure we got those people into those positions where they could do some good things.
Just a real quick preview of next Wednesday, since you brought him up.
Sure.
And I didn't. You play St. Kate's next Wednesday, and it's a little bit of a rivalry there in that Corey is now the head coach at St. Kate's. How do you approach that? You're good friends. He comes down and works camps. I assume when you step on the court, it's he's my enemy for a couple hours.
Yeah, this week we don't really talk a whole lot. Almost every other week of the season we talk on a pretty regular basis. But he's up there preparing his team, and we know that they're going to be ready to go. And he's going to know what we're going to try to do, and he knows that we're going to know what they're going to try to do. And so it makes it pretty unique. We share a lot of similarities in our coaching style and a lot of similarities in the type of player that we like in our program, and so it makes for a pretty tight contest.
So Mike, as you look ahead now to the full conference season, who are some teams besides St. Mary's, of course, that you expect to be battling for playoff positions?
Yeah, I think this is a unique year in the conference where I think that a number of the top teams from last year lost a lot of players, and so we're still trying to figure out where they're going to fall. I think St. Thomas clearly has the nod right now. They're the one team that returned a majority of their roster and almost their entire starting lineup. And from there, it's going to be a unique mix. You've got St. Ben's that's going to be very good. Concordia is always good, even though they lost 4 starters from last year's team. Bethel, but they just took a loss to St. Olaf. So, after I think St. Thomas, it's going to be anybody's ball game right in the mix for those number 2 through 6 playoff spots.
Yeah. And Jenna, finally, this is your second year at St. Mary's. Tell us what brought you to St. Mary's and what keeps you here. What are you looking at for a major, and what do you like about the school?
One of the top reasons that I came here was obviously like athletics and academics. So volleyball and school are the 2 biggest things. When I came on my visit for volleyball, I loved the team. I loved the coaches and the entire atmosphere here. Right now I'm undecided for my major, so I'm still trying to figure that out.
You and a lot of other people.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. But
Donnie's still undecided.
That's right. Still undecided.
He'll figure it out when he grows up, right? So Jenna Sullivan, Mike Lester, thanks for being on the show today, and best of luck here the rest of the season.
Thanks for having us.
All right, stay tuned. Donnie and I will be right back to talk about the past week in St. Mary's athletics. That's next here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
We're doing things in bus magazines and the newspapers and things like that, and it's just like we seemed like we needed a different media, and we thought, TV, perfect. Laura, she is awesome. She came out the first time. She was very, very personable, tends to your needs. Anything that you needed, she was right there. I literally, seriously, have been wanting to make more commercials just because it was such a great, fun process. I would recommend HBC to anybody.
Call Laura for details on how to get a free commercial for your business. So you know how some cable companies have these bundle deals where if you purchase their TV, telephone, and internet together, you save? At HBC, we're taking it one step further. Get your TV and phone service through HBC, and we'll give you internet absolutely free. That's right, free. And you still save money. Some packages can save you up to $660 a year, and it's all backed by our 30-day guarantee. The best part? Free internet is available to all customers, new and existing. Go to hbci.com to see which free internet package is right for you, or call 888-474-9995.
How many times in business have you heard this? Your network consultant says your computers are slow because your internet speeds are slow. Then, your service provider says it's not the internet speed, your computers and network are at fault. So which is it? Well, now with HBC's professional services, you don't have to deal with the blame game anymore. We can take care of everything for your business. From designing an entire network to installing a new printer, HBC is here to help keep your business running smooth.
Check us out on the web at hbci.com or give us a call at 888-474-9995.
We're a small town store. Everything relies on our internet, our pumps, our registers, everything. So we need somebody that is willing to go that extra mile for us. Jill is awesome. She is very personable. When we call them, they react to us as if we are top on their list. And to me, that is number one. I've had excellent service.
Call Jill and find out what excellent business service is like.
Now is it?
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest, HBC Channel 25. Thanks for joining us, Dean Beckman, along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau. Time now to recap the past week in St. Mary sports. And Donny, the fall programs have been underway for a few weeks now, and the men's soccer team really playing some great soccer. And it was evident on Wednesday night. This past Wednesday, they took on St. Thomas, undefeated coming in, and we almost knocked them off. Got up to that 2-goal lead, which, as Coach Watkins says, I guess is the worst kind of lead you can have in sports.
Absolutely.
Is that right? Because they ended up coming back.
You know, it was a great soccer game, and I think that you know, as Coach Watkins will attest to, it's a great learning experience for his young team. He's got such a young squad. They jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead, and as you can see in the pouring rain, it rained from start to finish, which of course makes it difficult. But you know, St. Mary scores real early. Christian Doors scores the first of his 2 goals on the game, and then he scored again to make it 2-0. And unfortunately, by the time the half ended, it was 2-2 going into the break, and St. Thomas comes out, scores the next goal to take a 3-2 lead. And Matt Graber gets a penalty kick goal for St. Mary's to make it 3-3 and force the overtime period. Unfortunately, the overtime period did not last very long. 15 seconds as St. Thomas took the opening kick and went down and scored to end the game. But you know, a phenomenal game, and you know, St. Mary's played very well. And I think that it was a good statement game for St. Mary's in that, you know what, they may be young in class years, but they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they did a very nice job. They played very well, and I think if you're looking for moral victories from Coach Watkins, it's going to be hard to find, because you know, he doesn't believe in them. It's you know, I coach to win, and I want to win, but more than anything, when they fell down 3-2, rather than pack it in and you know, and fall apart, they kept battling, and they got that break, and Graber knocked that penalty kick in, and it was 3-3. So I think it was you know, it was a good statement game for the Cardinals, and hopefully a sign of some good things to come in the future.
Well, as we saw in that game-winning goal by St. Thomas, you could sense sort of a palpable sense of relief. You know, certainly they were happy and they were victorious, but I think they were surprised a little bit coming in here and just losing by or winning by 1 goal in overtime.
Absolutely, no question about it. They were certainly relieved to come away with the win, because when they fell down 2-0, you could almost see it in their faces. If St. Mary's could have knocked in 1 more goal and gotten it to 3-0, I think it would have been over, and we would be talking about a win right now. But you know, that's college soccer. It's a 90-minute game, a 90-minute and 15-second game, and you have to play the whole thing. And unfortunately, we came out just a little bit short.
And of course, coaches have to adapt to personnel. Now, last year we saw a lot of very low-scoring close games. Do you sense now that Coach Watkins has a team he feels he can play more up-tempo, offensive-minded with?
Yeah, I think so. I think what he's showing is he's got some players that can put the ball in the net. You know, we talked about Christian Doors on Wednesday night when they beat Edgewood. Midhat Mujic had 2 goals there, and so he's got some players that can score goals. It's just a matter of now making sure that defensively they're playing very well. They're battling some injuries and whatnot. I talked to Coach Watkins right before the game last night. His starting back defender was sick and not in the lineup, so he had to have somebody else come in, and that person got hurt, and so all of a sudden he's playing somebody who hadn't played any minutes at all and came on and did a fantastic job. He's got other people who are returners who maybe aren't playing as many minutes as they had in the past, and I think that more than anything, the team is gelling together and realizing that there's more to this than just me. It's a total team effort, and people are accepting their roles and playing very well. They're playing great soccer right now. They're going to be in every game that they play. You're going to see a lot more 1-goal games, just like we did last year with this team, and I think we're going to be talking about a lot more wins than we are losses this year.
Of course, any coach will tell you the most important game is the next game, But I do think to a degree that's true for St. Mary's. They go to St. Olaf on Saturday, Donnie, and it's an important game. They want to make sure that that statement game against St. Thomas, that's for real, that they can play with all of these conference
Absolutely.
teams.
And the thing with the tough part for St. Mary's is as good as St. Thomas was, St. Olaf is probably as good, if not better. They were ranked nationally in the preseason polls and are a very, very good team, especially on their turf. And that's one of the things that St. Mary's has to adjust to. And I know talking to Coach Watkins, they'll do today and on Thursday and Friday is they'll practice on grass, because at St. Olaf it's a grass field, whereas up at St. Mary's you're playing on artificial turf. So there's a difference, there's an adjustment in how you have to play. So we'll see how things go on Saturday, a big game. But, you know, it's still early in the conference season. St. Thomas was the opener, so there's a lot of soccer left to be played. And I really believe that come the end of the year, we're going to be talking about playoff possibilities for the Cardinals.
Right. Right now, their overall record 2-3-0, 0-1 in the conference, heading up to St. Olaf. Unfortunately, things did not go as well for the women's team as they lost to St. Thomas 5-0.
Yeah, St. Thomas is very good. They scored 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of that game, and you know, once St. Mary's got in that in that hole, they just could not dig themselves out. St. Thomas very talented, and again, playing in the poor elements certainly doesn't make it any easier to try and make a comeback from a 3-0 deficit, and they just couldn't do it. And you know, it's going to be one of those things. St. Mary's is, you know, they're playing some good soccer. They need some consistency, and they need their offense to bunch up a bit. They've only scored 1 goal 3 times in 3 games, so they need to put a little more offense together. But you know, we talk about injuries. I know Coach Cassidy is decimated by injuries right now. 3 or 4 of his regular starters are not in the lineup, and when you've got you know, some of your best players are sitting on the bench because they can't play physically, it makes it very tough to compete, especially against a team like St. Thomas.
Yeah. And Miranda Halling, she needs some help offensively because she's been having, you know, to try to do too much with the scoring drought.
Absolutely. She had a big game against, you know, it's funny to talk about, she had a big game against St. Thomas. She made 11 saves. When you're asking your goalkeeper to make 11 saves in a soccer game, that's a lot. You know, so she faced 17 shots in that game, and you know, she'll continue to get better. She's only a sophomore. Played about half the games last year, so you know, she's their go-to keeper right now, and I think that she's only going to get better as time goes on, and she continues to get that experience in goal.
All right, and the Cardinals, they're back in action on Saturday as well. They'll host St. Olaf, and then, of course, both the women's and men's soccer team will travel to Luther on September 15th for a doubleheader.
Yeah, step out of conference play next Wednesday for a non-conference doubleheader. Luther, again, a very good team. The road doesn't get any easier for either the men or the women. MIAC schedule is extremely tough, and then the non-conference schedule that both teams have put together is a very challenging one, and you know, as both of them say, it's going to only make them better in the future.
Yep. And Donnie, congratulations to Peter Borash, the St. Mary's University cross-country men's runner, named MIAC Cross-Country Runner of the Week.
Yeah, what a great honor for Peter, and much deserved. He finished first in the SMU Alumni Open 2 weeks ago, and really an outstanding performance by all the runners. St. Mary's finished 1, 2, 4, and 5 on the men's side to win that event, and you know, Peter's been running very well for the Cardinals for a number of years now, and it's good to see him continue that. I know Coach Barrett's got some pretty high expectations for the men's team. They're very talented. Aaron Haley's another one. He finished very high. Jake Traxler, a senior this year, is doing a great job, and John Souchere is also, you know, those 4 right now are their top 4. If Coach Barrett can find someone to slip into that number 5 spot and get a couple people in that 6, 7 spot that can increase their times just a little bit, they're going to be very, very competitive in the conference as well as in the region. And I know that he's looking forward to this weekend when they go to the St. Olaf Invitational to kind of get a good sense of where they fit. A very lot of MIAC teams will be at that event, and then there'll also be quite a few regional teams that'll be at that event. So it'll be a good chance for him to see where they stack up, not only in the conference but in the region.
Well, and Donnie, you know, you talked about Aaron Haley. in that opening meet of the year, he was only a couple of seconds behind Peter.
Oh yeah,
Borash,
he was clipping at his
there's some good
at his heels. So
competition.
I'm pretty sure that if Peter wouldn't have been named conference runner of the week, then Aaron would have been right there to scoop that up. Yeah, Aaron was right behind him. A great race for both of them, and as Coach Barrett said, it was they had a strategy coming into the event, and they ran it very well, and it paid off for them. And I think that that's part of it too. Is these guys don't just go out and just run. There's a strategy to what they're doing and how they're doing it, and they did that very well 2 weeks ago. And I'm sure that there's a different strategy as they head into the regional. A place when they go to St. Olaf, it's going to be the same course that they'll run at the regional. So it's a big meet this weekend.
And while the women's team finished third in that event, Katie Stoles took 18th overall as the top female runner.
Yeah,
for
and
the
Katie's
Cardinals.
just picked up right where she left off last year. She had a really great end of the cross country year last year, both at the MIAC and at the regional, but also had a really solid outdoor track and field season, and became one of the top steeplechase runners, not only for St. Mary's but in the conference. So she's just picking up where she left off and doing a phenomenal job of leading that women's team, even though she is just a sophomore.
Yeah. Coming up in just a minute, we want to get to some video that we have of M Club weekend, which was last weekend. But first, Donnie, tell us about men's and women's golf as they were at the Augsburg Invitational last weekend.
Yeah, the men competed in the Augsburg Invitational, and they need some more consistency. They've got Blake Westerberg, freshman out of Red Wing, is doing a real nice job for the Cardinals. He's had a couple of rounds already this year in the 70s, but that's all they're getting right now. The next score is in the mid-80s, and that certainly needs to be lower. And I know that Coach Landrum and Coach Egan are working very hard. They're out on the course with these guys trying to hone their games a little bit. They're gearing for the conference championships. That's where they're setting their sights on, and everything they do from the beginning of the year till that time is to get ready for those 3 days in October. So I don't think they're going to put a whole lot of stock in their finishes in terms of team finishes here, but they're going to continue to work to get better heading into the conference championships. On the women's side, same thing. Jenna Mrozinski is doing a very nice job. She shot 92-93 last weekend, and then now what they need to do is start focusing on Viterbo this weekend. Then they've got a duel against Viterbo the following weekend, and then it's conference championships. So it's a quick golf season, and hopefully they'll be ready come early October for the conference championships.
Yeah, the guys will be at St. John's this upcoming weekend.
Big weekend for them. Yeah. That's a very big conference heavy tournament, so it'll be nice to see where we stack up there.
Well, Donnie, last weekend was M Club weekend. This year, no award for you, Donnie. That was the previous year, but still, great time. And of course, our friend here on the Cardinals Nest, Chris Kendall, was one of the Hall of Fame inductees, and there we see some of the video from that weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. It's been a great weekend ever since we started this 10 years ago, and I think that the really neat thing we have about M Club weekend, and especially the ceremony that you're watching, is that all of our student athletes are there, and they get to see their peers are honored for their postseason awards that they may receive, whether it be all conference or honorable mention all conference or academic all conference. But also they get to listen to these alums that are coming back and being inducted, and hear some great stories about what St. Mary's was like back in the 70s when Chris was here, or back in the 90s when Alex Kugel was here. And I think that means a lot to the athletes themselves. And as a real close friend of mine, I was very happy to see Chris get inducted. He told some great stories about the importance of family, and of course he did his infamous Max Morlock impersonation, which he does so well. And it was a great weekend. Chris played in the alumni baseball game on Sunday morning. Alex, as you see there, Alex played in the alumni soccer game on Saturday. So it was a great weekend all in all. We had a full golf tournament on Saturday, and then several alumni games on Sunday. So it was a great event, and everybody had a wonderful time.
Absolutely. I think it's a great way to really begin not only the academic year, but the athletic seasons as well. It motivates everyone, and as you can see, there was a great turnout. Well, we certainly want to thank Mike Lester and Jenna Sullivan, our guests from the volleyball team earlier. They're off to a great start. We'll continue to talk about them and all of the other sports teams in the weeks ahead right here on the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC Channel 25.